If you're responsible for staff training in any way, this video will help you identify potential red flags that might be having a negative effect on your teams or your organization. Ahoy, Peter here from Brighter Training, and today we're looking at red flags when planning training. Now, staff training is essential for organizational success. So from succession management to risk minimization, ensuring skills and knowledge, and cultivating culture. So done right, it supports everything from productivity to compliance and morale. But done poorly, and it's like sort of driving with the handbrake on, leading to issues like lower productivity, compliance breaches, and weakened succession planning. So training is a big investment. When well planned, it's worth every dollar. But when poorly executed, it really becomes a costly checkbox exercise. So how can you do it well? And what are some red flags that signal that your training plan might be heading off track? So let's start with some red flags, things that you should watch out for that can derail your training investment. Now, let's say you've got a team member who's behind on deadlines. So you jump in and you organize time management training. But in reality, she's overwhelmed by workload, she lacks support, and struggles in a culture where feedback is ignored. Whether it's sales results, conflict, or productivity, tackling the surface problem without diagnosing the real issue won't solve anything. Addressing the root cause matters far more than a quick fix training solution. So to address this, you could ask yourself, what specifically is the cause of the problem? Or how do we know that this is the best solution? Now picture a team that perhaps has some interpersonal conflicts and performance issues. You might run a personality styles workshop, then a questioning skills course, then maybe some time management training. Now each program could have value, but jumping between isolated workshops is like sort of doing a random mix of exercises every few weeks at the gym and expecting a total lifestyle change. Training needs a clear roadmap, so where the team is now, where they need to be, and the specific skills and systems and support that they need along the way. So ask yourself, what will the team remember and do differently in 6 months' time as a result of doing this training? Focusing on participant preferences is another problem or another red flag. Now, people don't know what they don't know, and in business it's worse because often people think they know it all. Training isn't about getting 5-star ratings, it's about real growth, and sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. People may prefer quick online courses over hands-on role plays or assessments, but comfort zones aren't where the skills grow. So don't focus on what people want, give them what they genuinely need. So you can ask yourself, are we prioritizing genuine skill building, or are we just looking for positive feedback? Are we willing to support people through discomfort, knowing that it's often necessary for real growth? Now, the next red flag is management ego. And in my experience, very few clients will say, hey, we've got some challenges in our team, so let's start with me and my leadership team. Senior titles don't exempt people from needing skill updates. They actually increase that responsibility. So executives and senior managers, they shape the culture and the outcomes and the support structures that others rely on. But if they skip the training or they tailor it down to avoid that discomfort, then they send a clear message to everyone else that growth is for others. So experience doesn't mean you've automatically got up-to-date insight in a fast-paced environment, and outdated approaches from the top really can create obstacles rather than solutions. So real leaders model learning and they keep assumptions in check, and they continuously build the skills required of a leader today. If they avoid doing that, that's often when the problems begin. So the moment someone says they don't need training, or they know it all, or they've seen it all before, then I see a red flag. Now, if you're organizing the training, you might want to ask yourself, are the senior leaders genuinely engaging with this training, or are they sidestepping active participation? What reasons are they giving, and how might those impact the culture and that they set for the others? If you are one of these senior leaders, then ask yourself, what evidence do I have that I can't learn anything in this training? If I truly want growth for my team, am I willing to model it by actively participating, even if that feels uncomfortable? Now, another red flag is the training budget. It is surprising how many companies spend millions of dollars on marketing, but then want the cheapest and shortest training solution. investing in people development is essential for organizational success. Confident employees are not a byproduct of a half-day course. So if training is truly valued, it needs to be with a meaningful budget, and it needs to have that budget that reflects its importance. Cutting back on training to save a few dollars or not wanting to take people away from their day job is really short-sighted, and it shows that you don't value team development and long-term success. So ask yourself, are we investing in training with the same commitment that we give other business critical areas? And what return on investment are we really expecting from an underfunded training program? So how can you make your training investment even better? Let's have a look at some solutions. Now, first, we need effective diagnosis. So don't just jump to solutions. To start, assess where you are. Is your induction solid? Are the systems and expectations clear? Identify the gaps between where you are and where you want to be. Then consider what specific behaviors you want to see, and diagnose the problem thoroughly before reaching a solution. And of course, gather data and feedback and insights from any available sources before you make that final decision. Think of most of the purchases you make, especially expensive ones. You'd usually do a lot of research, read reviews, ask for advice, and consult experts before committing to an actual solution. So training should be exactly the same. Now, before selecting a solution, you want to determine the true gap. Is it a lack of skill and knowledge, a lack of support and clear expectations? Is there an inconsistency in standards or accountability? Is the issue with the team members, or does it actually lie higher up with leadership and communication? Understanding the gap type is the key to addressing it effectively. Now, of course, we want to create a holistic training plan, something that's connected. So having a clear, phased plan that adapts over time is really the key to success. Standalone workshops rarely create lasting change, but a structured program that builds progressively really can. So behavioral change and learning only happen with repetition and application. If your plan doesn't factor that in, then your training is not likely to be effective long term. And of course, leadership sets the tone for success. So an effective training program doesn't start with frontline staff alone, it starts at the top. Leadership isn't about getting a pass to skip training. It's about owning the outcomes and understanding the reality that your employees face. So for training to make an impact, leaders need to be aware of their own role in setting expectations, creating consistency, and promoting a learning culture. So sitting silently through training, not engaging, looking bored, or expecting a light version of the training just for you really doesn't cut it. That is not leadership behavior. Real change comes when leadership actively supports and engages with the training, openly tackling the areas where they too need growth. So otherwise, it's just patching the surface while the deep-rooted issues still remain. Next, be really clear on what the training needs to achieve. A simple model to do this is called do, know, and feel. So ask yourself, first of all, what will participants be able to do, such as apply a skill or demonstrate a process as a result of this training? Next, focus on what content you need participants to know, so key knowledge that sticks. And finally, how do you want them to feel? So confidence or clarity on where to find resources, certainty in their role. This is a simple model, but it ensures that each training program is strategically aligned and impactful. Now, setting clear expectations and timelines is important. Just like fitness or any other habit, learning isn't instant. So change and learning require time for the brain to adapt. Like we said earlier, if you don't review and practice material, the brain won't integrate the learning. So create timelines that include stages and KPIs and behaviors to track that progress, ensuring everyone knows what success looks like. And remember to check in to assess the progress in order to make course corrections where appropriate. Now, just like working out or reading a self-help book, training only sticks if you integrate it, if you do something with it. So have a plan for reinforcing the learning in your day-to-day work. How are you going to keep these skills alive? How will you support people through this discomfort of learning something new and preventing them from reverting back to their old habits? And of course, the quality of the trainers makes a big impact. Anyone can label themselves a trainer, but do they have research-backed knowledge, field experience, adaptability to meet your team's needs? A fun, engaging facilitator is a plus, but expertise is essential. So interview the trainers, assess their qualifications, ensure that they can adapt based on evidence and your own unique requirements. Organizational training is education. So you are better off ordering pizza and giving your team half a day off and a cash bonus with your training budget if all you want is a bit of engagement without any lasting skill development or behavioral change. It's probably a better investment than sort of tick box facilitators anyway. So while I'm at it on my soapbox, if you've hired a professional, do consider just getting out of their way. While it's fine to have an idea in mind, trust the experts and the process. If you want to do it yourself in your own way, then make that clear from the very start, or just do it yourself. Just factor that in when you're assessing the results that you get. So the approach to training, grounded in strategic planning and meaningful diagnostics and real investment, can create lasting change and build a stronger, more resilient organization. If you're interested in learning more about vetting qualified trainers, I do have a video on that topic that you might find useful. I'll pop the link in the comments, or you can click on the link on the screen at the moment. But ultimately, take the time to plan. People strategies require just as much time and effort and planning as any other business strategy or business plan. So invest in strategic planning and quality educators. Model the appropriate behaviors from the top, and take the time to manage the change process that any training introduces into an organization. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment. And otherwise, thanks so much for watching.